Good afternoon, I'm Mahalia Joseph and C News is live at noon.
And I'm Nasira Mohammed with sports.
Doctors at the Port of Spain General Hospital are continuing to fear for their safety and threatening to turn patients with non-essential medical needs away if security systems at the facility aren't immediately beefed up and a police unit installed on the compound. Medical personnel have been making the demands that after a young female intern was robbed at gunpoint inside the hospital on Sunday night. Doctors told C News Live that for quite some time now, they've been subjected to both physical and emotional assault from both patients and homeless people who wander in from the street. And joining us on the line is Dr. Richard Spence. He's the president of the Northwest Doctors Association. Good afternoon, Dr. Spence.
Good afternoon.
Can you give us an update on the situation 20 hours on? I know you met with CEO of the NWRHA, and were you satisfied with what came out of that meeting?
Yes, I must say that today the association, Northwest Doctors Association, met with Mr. Cyrus, the Chief Executive Officer of the NWRHA, alongside the hospital administrator and, of course, our medical director. And we had cordial and fruitful discussion concerning the way forward in terms of creating a more secure environment for the hospital staff to deliver the care that the public requires.
And were you satisfied? And how are your members feeling today? Are they feeling safe? Yesterday you all said nothing, said if nothing was done, rather that action would be taken. And what kind of action would be taken if nothing comes out of it?
All right. So as I said before, at that meeting, we had identified key first steps to be taken inclusive of that police post, and we were assured that, of course, these will be given the adequate priority, but actually some communications already been established in front of us, meaning that the hospital administrator, etc., would have established calls already and follow up with letters inquiring how these options can be implemented with immediate effect. Considering the possible action, I will assure Chantabago that the doctors look forward to, of course, delivering care, serving your health needs, right? But for considering actions that were debated, as I said before, our association was considering limiting the services to just emergency services. But I would just say, based on the discussion, the association come with a positive vein that our requirements will be met, and that we are requested to be given the due priority that expected with this such request.
And
so
finally, Dr. Spence.
Yes.
Okay, this has been a problem that's been long ongoing at other health institutions, and clearly not enough is being done to address this crucial safety issue. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are that it is correct. Security has been a long-standing issue at the Northwest RHA and the RHA onward. We've had different incidents in different RHAs where abuse, near kidnapping, different forms of assault have taken place, and of course different forms of representation have been made. And we continue to implore the RHA that Ministry of Health to, of course, give security of its hard-working workers a priority. This morning was a positive first step in terms of the meeting, and we trust that this time action appropriate time action will be taken, and we have to make assurances that we will continue to be able to meet with the Chief Executive Officer to follow up on our request, and so we look forward to going forward in a meaningful way to deliver care to the public.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Richard Spence there. He's the president of the Northwest Doctors Association, giving us an update on a meeting that was held yesterday with CEO of the NWRHA. And the former health minister, Dr. Fuad Khan, has issued a statement this morning about the situation at the Port of Spain General Hospital, calling for an immediate intervention by the government in increasing security at the city hospital and other public health institutions across the country. Dr. Khan noted there have been other cases of attacks against medical staff at the institution in the past. The former health minister also said there's a serious and urgent need for surveillance cameras and personnel to monitor these systems to cover a greater area of the facility. Dr. Khan also called on the Health Minister, Dr. Terence Yalsing, to meet with the administration of the hospital and rectify the situation before it escalates any further. While you're watching the C News Live report at noon, remember you can keep up to date with all the latest news on our website at ctvtt.com, or you can check out our Facebook and Twitter pages at C News Live. And to some other news now. Isidore Roberts, the former People's Partnership Minister of Sport, may return to the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago under the banner of the United National Congress. Roberts made a surprise appearance at the UNC's Monday night forum in Diego Martin, ending 27 months of speculation of his whereabouts.
Hotel. I'm not in Sweden. I'm not in London spending pounds. I'm not in South Africa. I'm not in USA. I'm right here in Diego Martin eating doubles by Bobby's Bar every morning.
His resurfacing came on the same day in which the High Court threw out the audit into the live sport program, which operated under his stewardship. Mr. Roberts said he chose to reappear on the UNC platform since he felt exonerated from the long-running court case.
It's before the court. You must hush. You must respect the court, because the judiciary, thank God for the judiciary, they're slow. But it's the only independent institution in Trinidad and Tobago where you could get justice if you have the time to wait. And I had the time to wait, and time come to jump out. Null and void.
Now, just to give you some context to the Isidore Roberts story, on Monday afternoon, the High Court Judge Miradine Amoro ruled that several former Sport Ministry senior members were not afforded the opportunity to be heard before the live sport report was made public. In her judgment, Justice Amoro also said the audit team breached the legitimate expectation of the claimants when it denied them the right to make representations before the final report was made public in Parliament. Let's discuss this further with political and economic scientist Dr. Bishnu Ragan from the University of the West Indies. Dr. Ragan, good afternoon. The return of a very interesting, colorful figure to the UNC. What do you make of this move, which caught everyone by surprise?
Well, I think it was simply a matter that the UNC is looking inwards and looking at what stocks it has in its place. Former Minister Roberts was a loud voice in the UNC in its earlier campaigns, and the live sport issue in itself sort of silenced Mr. Roberts. Now that we've gone past the live sport, or at least the judgment that said that simply that there was not fair treatment by the claimants in this matter, Mr. Roberts has seemingly gotten voice, and more importantly, the UNC has seen it fit to put Mr. Roberts back onto the platform. So it's their political gamble, and I suppose that's what we'll have to look at.
Mr. Roberts had resigned from the post of sport minister and disappeared from sight but resurfaced. Is this a behind-the-scenes calculated move by the opposition leader to bring him back to the front, perhaps in the Senate finally? How does this play out in the local government election campaign?
Well, like I said, Mr. Roberts was a firebrand on the platform, and whether or not the UNC plans to use him on the platform in their various campaign presentations, we'll have to wait and see. He did, in fact, resign as Minister of Sports based on the report that was done, and which was literally doing the right thing at the right time, taking responsibility and laying low and waiting for the chips fall where they may. The mere fact that the courts ruled, and I want to say that the courts merely threw out the report, not necessarily saying that they ruled in favor of Mr. Roberts and his colleagues, but rather simply saying that the report was not done following accepted procedure. And from that perspective, Mr. Roberts has gotten a wind behind his back and is moving forward and hoping that this will take him forward. And whether the UNC actually uses him on a long-term basis in the campaign. Whether they actually place him in the Senate, we'll have to really wait and see what the leader of the opposition does. But for the time being, we know that he is back on the in the political hustings.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Raghunath. That was Dr. Raghunath, a political and economic scientist, commenting on Isidore Roberts possibly returning to the UNC. Lifeguards say they will continue to show up for duty but will not operate any emergency facilities until proper training is given. That's the latest word from Jamil Sidney, the president of the Emergency Medical Service Union, who called on the National Security Minister to intervene in the ongoing dispute. According to Mr. Sidney, lifeguards will take a drowning person out of the water but will stay away from CPR since they have no medical training and are in violation of occupational health and safety. Mr. Sidney also says lifeguards are yet to receive training in the Emergency Medical Technicians course. The ministry has failed to provide proper training in how to use equipment contained in ambulances. How LNG is traded on global markets could be set to shake up that after the launch of the world's first online trading platform in Singapore on Tuesday. The GLX Global Exchange hopes its system will revolutionize what's been a very cozy club of producers and buyers. Here's our energy reporter Roger Dwarka with more.
This is the latest big thing if you're in LNG trading. It's an online website called GLX Global Exchange, which isn't quite live yet, but is still in development phase. The financial backers and developers of this idea hope that they'll revolutionize how liquid natural gas is traded around the world by facilitating auctions of LNG cargoes on behalf of buyers and sellers worldwide. They're also hoping, as a result of their trading platform, transparent price benchmarks for the commodity will begin to emerge. It's well known the current system and pricing structure for trading LNG from terminal to destination varies on margins and is usually a secret. But for anyone working or operating in the LNG market, cargoes can be worth up to $30 million a shipload. With the launch of GLX's site on Tuesday in Singapore, the owners are hoping to break up what's considered to be a special club of producers and buyers in the commodity, whilst attempting to offer a fairer market price for spot cargoes, which are traditionally and usually based on long-time relationships and market intelligence. There is one drawback to founder Damien Criddle's plan though, that of oversupply currently dogging the LNG market, which is expected to last until early next decade. That's because of the revolution in US shale gas production from the Permian Basin and the Marcellus Formation, which is being drilled and produced at a much cheaper and more competitive price and being supplied to markets faster. That impact is well known and has been forcing traditional suppliers like TNT's Atlantic LNG to find new markets for their cargoes. According to LNG World News Online, the expansion of the LNG market over the past few years means some 75 sellers and 75 buyers are involved worldwide in trading, with no efficient way until now to bring the market together. Roger Dwarka, C News Live.
Well, it's about that time for sports with Nasir Mohammed. Nasir, I know you have some not too good news for us. Tell us about it.
That's correct, Mahalia. It's once again bad news for the West Indies. Another defeat on their tour of the UAE versus Pakistan. And now it's time for sport. Another clinical display from Pakistan on the fifth day helped Pakistan thrash the West Indies by 133 runs and take an unassailable 2-0 lead in the three-match series. With 285 runs to defend on the final day, Pakistan were not excellent, but did what they had to do. They chipped away at the West Indies batting lineup. The only man providing some resistance was Jermaine Blackwood, who found a rhythm and took on the uphill task. While Blackwood hankered down, the other batsmen were fickle. Ronston Chase made 20, while stand-in wicketkeeper Shea Hope had 41. Blackwood meanwhile continued his stance. Captain Jason Holder failed to make an impact with the bat, just as he failed with the ball. He made 16 runs with Devendra Bishnu chipping in with 26. However, Blackwood's patience and resistance eventually ran out, 5 runs short of a century when he was bowled by Yasir Shah. The West Indies were all out for 322. Shah was the pick of the Pakistani bowlers with 6 for 124, with Zulfikar Baba had 2 for 51. Deservedly, Shah was named man of the match. Reports that Kevin Molyneux will receive no further punishment for his national team indiscretions, which saw him break team curfew twice in about 1 month, are premature. A newspaper report on the weekend stated that following a board meeting on Friday, a decision was taken not to reprimand Molyneux further for breaking camp on October 7th and was subsequently excluded from the TNT squad to face Martinique on October 12th. He immediately announced a 1-year sabbatical from international football. However, President of the TTFA, David John Williams, called the newspaper report erroneous and stated that appropriate punishment will be communicated to the player soon. The board also of the TTFA is proposing a player's code of conduct, but are waiting to meet with the players themselves before moving ahead. A big day for the sport of hockey in Trinidad and Tobago, as this country is set to host the second round leg of the World League of Hockey in April of next year. While the national ladies will travel to West Vancouver for their round 2 of the World League campaign from April 1st through 9th, the men will be staying at home. The AstroTurf at Tacarigua will play host to the last round 2 event from March 25th through April 2nd, 2017. Joining TNT will be Malaysia, Japan, Russia, Barbados, the United States, Chile and Switzerland to make up the 8-team group. While vital World League points will be at stake, the top 2 will advance to the semis of the World League as well, joining the top 2 from the other 2 groups and the 2 best third-place teams. The semis are set for June and July 2017. TNT golfer Munifa Sealy played some great golf at the LPGA qualifier on Sunday, shooting 1 round of 72 and a 4-round total of 291, which sees her tied in 20th position. The top 80 golfers go through to the Stage 3 qualifying school, which is the final qualifier to get onto the Ladies Professional Golf Tour. That next crucial stage takes place from November 28th to December 4th at the LPGA International in Florida. If Sealy places among the top 20, she will receive her LPGA Tour card along with the other top 19 finishers, but even a top 40 finish will give her LPGA status and entry or invites to some of the events. Munifa is the first Trinidad and Tobago female golfer to reach this stage and is trying to become the first West Indian to play on the LPGA Tour. Stephen Ames is the only other Trinidadian to play on the PGA Tour in the US. Well, that was your sport for today.
Now time for a look at some international news. Cadets at a police training academy in Pakistan awoke to the horror of suicide bomb-wielding terrorists in an attack late Monday that killed 61 and injured 117. Reports are that security forces killed 1 attacker while 2 others died when they detonated the bombs they were carrying. During the hours-long operations that followed, security forces killed 1 attacker while 2 others died when they detonated the bombs they were carrying. At least 260 cadets were rescued during the operation, which lasted through early Tuesday. 3 days of mourning have been announced in Balochistan province for the dozens of dead, most of whom were police cadets. 4 people were killed at Australia's largest theme park on Tuesday when a ride malfunctioned. Reports are that the victims had sustained injuries that were not survivable.
ISIS put out a statement saying it was behind the
friendly ride at Australia's biggest theme park.
Dreamworld confirms that at approximately 2:20 today, an incident occurred on the Thunder River Rapids ride, resulting in the tragic deaths of 4 people.
Police say they responded to an emergency call saying people had been injured by a conveyor belt. A traumatic scene followed. Theme park staff desperately tried to help the victims. Emergency services then arrived, but their injuries were too severe to save them. 2 men and 2 women, aged between 32 and 42, were killed.
We are deeply shocked and saddened by this, and our hearts and our thoughts go to the families involved and to their loved ones.
Well, that brings us to the end of the C News Report at noon. I'm Mahalia Joseph.
And I'm Nasira Mohammed. Have a good afternoon.